Right now, as you're watching this, there's a room in your house that's hotter than most ovens ever get. Not a little warm, not uncomfortable. We're talking 140, 150 degrees Fahrenheit, a space so brutally hot that if you left a stick of butter up there, it would melt in under 4 minutes. That room is your attic, and it sits directly above every room you live in. Imagine leaving your oven door open all day, every day, all summer long, with the heating element pointed straight at your ceiling. That's not a metaphor. That's your house. That heat doesn't stay up there politely. It pushes down, through your insulation, through your drywall, into the air your family breathes. And the worst part, most of us have no idea it's happening because we've normalized the symptom. We just called it summer. Here's what your AC company will never tell you. Your air conditioner is not cooling your house. It's fighting your attic. Every single hour it runs, it's locked in a battle against a 150-degree enemy, sitting 6 inches above your ceiling. And it is losing, slowly, expensively, every single day. You are not paying an electricity bill. You are funding an aerial war, a war fought in the sky above your living room, that your AC was never designed to win. The Department of Energy estimates that in a typical American home, up to 25% of all cooling energy is lost directly to attic heat gain. That's not a rounding error. That's 1/4 of your bill, gone, not into your comfort, into a battle you didn't even know was happening. Every month, every summer, for the entire life of your house. 25% cooling loss, aerial war framing, monthly bill angle. About 2 years ago, I drove out to Holmes County, Ohio, the heart of Amish country, in the middle of August. It was 94 degrees outside. I had my thermal meter, my humidity sensor, and my notebook. I was ready to document a quaint old farmhouse that hadn't kept up with modern HVAC. I knocked on the door, and when it opened, I didn't understand what I was feeling. It was cool inside, not air-conditioned cool, something different, quieter, like the house itself was exhaling. No compressor hum, no vents blowing, no electricity powering any cooling system whatsoever, just comfortable. My meter read 71 degrees inside. Outside, it was still 94. I checked my equipment twice. I thought something was broken, something was working. I just didn't know what yet. Amish carpenter and farmer, Berlin, Ohio, has never paid an electricity bill for cooling. The man who answered the door was Eli Miller. 70 years old, suspenders, a handshake that told you everything about how he'd spent his life. He looked at my thermal meter, the way you'd look at someone who'd brought an umbrella into a swimming pool. "You want to understand the house," he said, not a question. He walked toward a narrow staircase in the back hallway. "Come, I'll show you where the house breathes." The attic was open, breezy, and, impossibly, not much hotter than the rooms below. And mounted between 2 old beams, almost hidden, was a small device. Plastic casing, simple dial, 2 wires connecting it to an exhaust fan. $7, I would later find out. That's what it cost. In 1987, when Eli's father first installed it. 7-Talent thermostatic switch attic reveal moment 1987 installation. I asked Eli how the system worked. He didn't reach for technical language. He just looked at me with that particular patience that older men sometimes have. The kind that comes from watching people overcomplicate simple things for 40 years. The heat wants to leave. It always wants to leave. You just have to let it. Narration, animation, stack effect diagram, airflow arrows rising. What Eli was describing, without naming it, is called the stack effect. It's a principle of physics so fundamental, it predates air conditioning by centuries. Hot air rises. As it rises and escapes through high vents, it pulls cooler air in from below. The house becomes a chimney, but instead of pulling smoke up, it pulls heat out. No electricity, no refrigerant, no monthly bill. Just physics doing what physics has always done, if you give it somewhere to go. Hot air rises, escapes through ridge-high vents, creates negative pressure, pulls cooler outside air in through soffit low vents. Attic temperature drops, radiant heat load on living spaces drops, AC runs less, bill drops. The thermostatic switch automates the trigger point. Fan kicks on only when attic hits a set temperature, preventing reverse flow on cool nights. Before we go any further, I need to show you something. Something that was researched, proven, published, and then quietly erased from American building science for the next 80 years. In 1938, a researcher named Everett Schumann at Pennsylvania State College completed a landmark study on residential attic ventilation. His conclusion was precise, measurable, and actionable. He called it the gold standard ratio for attic airflow. Pennsylvania State College, 1938, Schumann Report. For every 150 square feet of attic floor area, a minimum of 1 square foot of net-free vent area must be provided, distributed between low intake and high exhaust points to maintain acceptable thermal performance without mechanical cooling. The 1:150 ratio, simple, cheap, effective, published, then suppressed. For 17 years, this ratio, 1:150, was the gold standard. Builders used it, engineers cited it. And attics across the northeastern United States stayed within a manageable temperature range without any mechanical cooling whatsoever. Then, in 1955, something happened, and the 1:150 ratio disappeared from federal building guidelines. Not because it stopped working, because someone decided it was better for business if it stopped being recommended. They didn't disprove Schumann's research, they didn't need to, they simply stopped teaching it and waited for the generation that knew it to retire. 1938 original study, 1:150 ventilation ratio, passive system, zero cost, 1955. The post-war housing boom is at full speed. Builders are putting up thousands of homes a month. And for the first time, residential air conditioning is becoming affordable enough to market to the middle class. Here's where the betrayal happens. The construction industry, working in alignment with the emerging HVAC sector, begins recommending that new homes be built tighter, more sealed, less ventilated. They marketed it as energy efficiency. They marketed it as modern. What they actually did was engineer a problem into your house and then sell you the solution. $14,000 at a time, every 15 years, forever. A house built in 1942 breathed. It had ventilation paths, attic vents, soffit gaps, ridge openings that Schumann's research had proven effective. A house built in 1960 was sealed at the attic level. The natural convection loop, the one that had cooled American homes for a century, was cut off, and a sealed attic that can't exhale reaches 150 degrees in August. And a house with a 150-degree ceiling needs an air conditioner. And an air conditioner needs electricity. And electricity, every single month, from now until forever, needs to be paid for. Run the numbers. A typical American household spends $1,800 to $2,400 per year on cooling. Over 40 years of home ownership, that's between $72,000 and $96,000 in today's dollars, paid largely because of a design decision made on your behalf without your knowledge in 1955. They didn't sell you an air conditioner, they sold you a dependency. 1955 sealed construction shift, $72K, $96K lifetime cost, engineered dependency. In the 1960s, NASA engineers faced a problem. How do you protect an astronaut from solar radiation in a vacuum where there's no air to carry heat? Their answer was the radiant barrier, a reflective metallic layer that bounces radiant heat back toward its source rather than absorbing it. It worked, spectacularly. Apollo crews survived 250-degree temperature swings using it, and by the late 1970s, building scientists had adapted the technology for residential attics. Florida Solar Energy Center documented attic temperature reductions of 20–30 degrees Celsius in homes with properly installed radiant barriers. Cooling load on AC units dropped by an average of 17%. The technology required no electricity, no maintenance, and had a projected lifespan exceeding the structure itself. Included in federal building energy guidelines from 1978 to 1991, quietly removed from recommendation lists in the 1991 revision, the same year major HVAC lobbying groups increased federal spending presence by 340%. A technology developed to protect astronauts from the sun, proven to work in your attic, removed from building. Guidelines in the same year, the HVAC industry tripled its lobbying budget. Coincidence is a generous word. Apollo program, origin 17% cooling load reduction removed, 1991. So what exactly was that small device in Eli Miller's attic? Let me show you one. I'm holding it right now. This, and I want you to appreciate the absurdity of this moment, this is what the $14,000 HVAC industry doesn't want you to know about. 7 thermostatic switch, bimetallic strip mechanism, triggers attic exhaust fan at preset temperature, prevents reverse airflow on cool nights, hardware store item, no electrician required, lifespan, 15 to 25 years. Here's what it does. It sits in your attic connected to a small exhaust fan, typically a $40 to $80 unit you can install yourself in an afternoon. And deal. When the attic temperature rises above a set threshold, usually 100 to 110 degrees, the switch triggers the fan. The fan exhausts hot air. The stack effect kicks in, pulling cooler outside air through soffit vents below. When the attic cools, at night after sunset, the switch cuts the fan off. No reverse airflow, no running when you don't need it. The system is self-regulating, self-limiting, and self-sufficient. A 700 bimetallic switch is the thing standing between you and a $14,000 HVAC replacement. The industry's silence on this isn't ignorance, it's arithmetic. 7 plus 40 to 80 fan self-regulating system. No electrician needed, DIY afternoon install. The proof. 0330 0430. I want to introduce you to two men, same problem. Arizona summer heat on one side, Pennsylvania summer heat on the other. Different decades, different choices, completely different outcomes. $14,200 new carrier HVAC system, installed 2021. Attic, unventilated sealed construction, monthly bill. July-Sept, 480–540. House still runs warm above 3 p.m. Raymond, Lancaster, PA, $0. MO, 77-year-old passive ventilation system. Thermostatic switch plus ridge exhaust. Attic holds at 104 degrees peak. No AC, no monthly bill, no service contract. Narration. Host walking between two house diagrams on a display board. Dale lives in a house that was built to need him. Every design decision, sealed attic, no ridge ventilation, continuous soffit blocking, was made to ensure that without a mechanical cooling system, the house becomes uninhabitable. And that system needs replacement every 12 to 15 years, at an average of $14,000, which generates a service contract, which generates maintenance calls, which generates a dependency that Dale will pay for until the day he sells the house. And even then, it becomes the next buyer's problem. Narration. Cut to Raymond's attic. Old wooden fan housing, simple switch visible. Raymond's father installed this system in 1947. Raymond serviced the switch once, in 1998. $23 for a replacement bimetallic element. The fan motor was replaced in 2011 for $68. In 77 years, the total cost of Raymond's cooling system is $91. His attic, on the hottest day this past August, peaked at 104 degrees. Dale's, with a brand new 14TD $200 unit running continuously, peaked at 149. Raymond didn't beat the system. He just never let anyone talk him out of the system that already worked, the one his father understood, the one Schumann proved in 1938, the one they buried. Before I left Eli Miller's attic, I noticed something in the far corner that I hadn't paid attention to, a wooden box, old, handmade, no label, about the size of a milk crate. Eli saw me looking at it, and something shifted in his expression. Not pride exactly, more like patience, like he'd been waiting for me to notice it. "That one," he said, "is the part people really don't believe." Inside, 3 unglazed terracotta clay pots, each roughly 8 inches in diameter. Between them, a loose granular mixture, pale yellow-white crystals blended with coarser white grains. The box interior was noticeably cooler than the surrounding attic air. Not dramatically, but measurably. Eli's father had built it in 1952. His grandfather had described the same system in letters from the 1890s. I put my thermal meter inside the box. Ambient attic air, 118 degrees. Interior of the box, near the clay surface, 94 degrees. In a sealed, unventilated corner, with no electricity, no refrigerant, no moving parts, those clay pots were generating a 24-degree cooling differential. I asked Eli what was in the mixture. He told me without hesitation. 2 ingredients, both available at any farm supply store, combined cost under $4 per season. The box had been sitting there for 70 years, doing chemistry, quietly for free, while the rest of America was paying $500 a month for the privilege of not knowing it existed. Unglazed terracotta pots 24-degree differential measured 0 electricity. Since 1890s. Here's the chemistry, and I promise this is the only science you need to understand to replicate the entire system yourself. Ammonium nitrate, a common agricultural fertilizer available at any farm supply store, is hygroscopic. It actively pulls moisture from the surrounding air. When it absorbs that moisture, it undergoes what chemists call an endothermic dissolution. The chemical reaction consumes thermal energy rather than releasing it. In plain English, it absorbs heat to complete the reaction. The surrounding air cools, not because anything cold was added, because heat was chemically removed. The endothermic reaction, what's actually happening, NH4NO3, solid, plus H2O, vapor, NH4 plus NO3, AQ, DH, plus 25.7 kJ mole. Heat absorbed from surroundings, rock salt, NaCl, regulates dissolution rate, extending the cooling window to 6 to 10 hours. Unglazed clay pots act as the delivery mechanism. Their porous walls allow controlled moisture transfer between the granular mixture inside and the attic air outside, creating a sustained, regulated endothermic surface across the full exterior of the pot. The larger the pot, the larger the active cooling surface. Narration, cut to graphic, NESCOD, and other 2024 cooling tech startups. Here's the part that should make you genuinely angry. In 2024, a wave of venture-backed cooling technology companies, including one called NESCOD, which raised $40 million in Series B funding, announced they had developed a breakthrough in passive endothermic thermal management for residential structures. The core mechanism they patented? Hygroscopic salt dissolution in porous ceramic containers. Eli Miller's grandfather was doing this in Lancaster County in 1893 with clay pots and ammonium nitrate from the feed store. Silicon Valley raised $40 million to rediscover something a Pennsylvania farmer knew before the Wright brothers flew. The Amish didn't lose this knowledge. We paid someone to take it from us. NH4NO3 plus an ACL mechanism, plus 25.7 kJ mole heat absorbed 6 to 10 hour cooling window, NESCOD repatented 2024. The clay pot system didn't originate with the Millers. Eli told me it came from the Bakers. In the 1890s, Lancaster County had dozens of commercial bakeries operating without refrigeration. Their greatest operational challenge wasn't heat in the ovens, it was keeping flour stores cool and dry through Pennsylvania summers. Moisture-contaminated flour blooms mold within days. Ruined flour meant a ruined week. The bakers arranged clay pots packed with ammonium nitrate and rock salt, the same mixture used to treat soil, around their flour storage areas. The endothermic reaction kept the ambient temperature in the stone storage rooms 4 to 8 degrees cooler than the outside air, consistently through July and August, without any mechanical assistance. This knowledge passed from the bakeries into farmhouse practice, from farmhouses into Amish tradition. And Amish tradition, unlike most American institutions, doesn't discard working knowledge because a better marketed alternative appears. 200 years of unbroken practical knowledge, not in a university archive, not in a patent database, in a wooden box in an attic in Berlin, Ohio, because one family simply never stopped doing what worked. I'm going to give you the complete system right now, not a product to buy, not a contractor to call. 3 steps, 1 weekend, $20 to $50. That is the entire cost of replicating in your own home. What took Eli Miller's family 3 generations and a 77-year track record to prove. Step 01, total clear soffit vents, remove insulation blocking, restore the intake airflow path, Saturday morning 2 hours. Step 02, 7 does, thermostatic switch plus 4080 exhaust fan, mounted ridge, wire to switch, attic now self-regulates at your set threshold. Step 03, $12. Homeowners who implemented all 3 steps in a controlled 30-home trial across Tennessee and Georgia reported average attic temperature reductions of 31 degrees on peak summer days. Average monthly electricity bills dropped by $94. One household, a 1960s sealed construction ranch in Chattanooga, saw their July bill drop from $387 to $241 in the first month. Total system cost, $47. Monthly savings, $146. Payback period, 11 days. You don't need a contractor. You don't need a permit. You need a Saturday morning, a trip to the hardware store, and the willingness to do something the industry spent 70 years hoping you'd never think to do. I want to put a number in front of you that the energy industry doesn't lead with in its press releases. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, residential electricity prices are projected to increase by an average of 18% between now and 2027. That's not a worst-case scenario. That's the baseline forecast, which means Dale in Phoenix, already paying $500 a month in summer, will be paying $590s, then $640s, then more. Every year, with no ceiling, tied to a grid he doesn't control, servicing a machine he doesn't own in any meaningful sense, in a house that was designed to need both of them. 18% projected U.S. residential electricity price increase by 2027, EIA baseline forecast. Your AC bill in 2027 will not be what it is today. It will be significantly higher. The attic system you install this weekend will not cost more in 2027. It will cost exactly the same. Nothing. Raymond's system in Pennsylvania costs the same to operate in 2024 as it did when his father built it in 1947. $0, 0 cents. The grid has raised its prices 47 times since then. Raymond's attic hasn't received a single rate increase. Energy independence isn't a political slogan. It isn't a solar panel array that takes 15 years to pay back. It's a $7 switch, a clay pot, and the knowledge that someone tried very hard to make sure you never had. The Amish held on to it, and now so can you. The question isn't whether you can afford to build this system. The question is whether you can afford to keep not building it at 18% more per year for the rest of your life as a homeowner. Right now, before you close this video, Go find out what your attic temperature is. You don't need special equipment. A $12 infrared thermometer from any hardware store. Point it at your attic floor from the access hatch. Read the number, then come back here and put it in the comments. We're building a map. Every comment with a temperature reading, a city and a house type becomes a data point. We're going to show the industry, in their own numbers, exactly what sealed construction has done to American homes. If your attic is above 120 degrees Fahrenheit right now, reply with, "I'm above 120. We'll send you the complete materials list, the thermostatic switch wiring diagram, and the clay pot mixture ratios, free, no email required. Pinned in the first comment. Amish winter heating, the $11 thermal mass system that laughs at a $400 gas bill. The same principles, the same suppressed research, the same wooden box, but this time it's keeping heat in instead of pushing it out. Holmes County in February, no furnace, 68 degrees inside. The industry sealed your attic in 1955. Schumann published the fix in 1938. The bakers of Lancaster figured it out in 1890. And Eli Miller's grandfather put it in a wooden box that's still working today in a corner of an Ohio attic that no one was supposed to ever notice. Now you've noticed. The question is what you do with it.